because it's
Yeah.
quite small of screen.
Good evening, Aston Villa fans. Welcome to the Villa4Ever podcast. I am your host, Chad Williams. Before we get started, remember to hit subscribe. This evening, I'm joined by my special guest, Super Mick Dale, also known as Mr. Aston Villa. He used to work as a tour guide at Villa Park, and he was part of the football club's furniture for many years. Mick remembers me really well. We both go back a long way. I'm happy to have you on the show, Mick.
Thank you, Chad. Listen, it's been a while, but those years were quite special, weren't they?
Yeah,
Your
I remember it
18th
really
party
well.
as well. Yeah, and you were a tour guide at Villa.
They're good memories.
Great times. And obviously, not the foundation have taken over now, but in those days, I got a lovely link with Wilson Stewart School where you went, and had some great times. They're one of the happiest schools I've ever been to. You've got great memories of those days, haven't you?
Yeah, they're all nice bunch of friendly people.
Great. And your teacher that was so behind you, who arranged for you to do work experience at Villa.
That's it, right, Tati?
Are you still in touch?
No, I don't think I've heard of Ray Tati for a while.
Right, okay.
Nice man he was, real nice man.
Yeah, he was so behind you, and I loved going to the school and seeing you, and not just you actually, but we had quite a few sort of visits, didn't we, where we chatted about Villa, and you know, because that school's very close to Villa, isn't it? It's literally a mile away.
Yeah, just down the road, it's handy.
Yeah. So I just remember, you know, that day I think we're going to talk about it later, but your special couple of tours that you did with the people from Tamworth, and the day we went on the pitch at Villa Park.
Unforgettable, that was.
It was amazing, wasn't it? I just remember you on the centre circle for some reason. I don't know why we went to the centre spot, but do you remember it was like, wow, you're on Villa Park. And that's what we try and do, isn't it? It was our ambition to kind of make everyone's day that day, and not every tour does what you managed for them that day, because those people from Tamworth loved it, didn't they?
Are you enjoying retirement, Mick?
I'm not retired. I work for Hilton Group now, so I've been at work today, Chad. So it's not retirement. I might look old, but I'm not that old. So
no, you're not
you
that
might
old,
be, when you said you were 27, that made me feel old. Because when I met you, I reckon you were 15, 16.
Yes, it would have been, yeah.
You know, so that makes me feel old now. You know, you're 27, and so that's literally 9 years since you're 18.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, where does the time go?
And that's still the best cake I've seen at Villa Park. That cake. I don't know who made it, but for your 18th, that cake of Villa Park was incredible.
I've still got the photos now.
Yeah, it was in McGregor's, wasn't it?
That's it, McGregor Suite, yeah.
But your family took me to their, you know, I was made to feel really part of your family, and say hello to them for us.
Yes, I definitely will.
Yeah.
I heard you had an operation.
Good, mate. Yeah, I'm fine. It's 14 weeks, but I'm finally pain-free. So I don't want to go on about my operation. Look what you deal with every day. And, you know, mate, you're such a positive, fantastic young person. So I'm
really
fine. You know, I've always said it. And your teachers, you know, I would never have met you if I hadn't joined Villa and the community. you know, sort of going down there to see you was my first placement in the community, and I got close to you all, and I do miss those times. But obviously, the foundation's fantastic now. It's got about 70 staff there, Chad. You know, it's a biggest part of Villa, the foundation. Yeah.
Well, before I get more into the interview,
Yeah.
I just want to do an introduction about the condition.
100%. You need to tell people, and what I've tried to do, Chad, is try and get you. You've got followers. Try and get you more, and for them to understand it, because you've been dealing with it. You know, and I find that people need to know. Yeah, that. Please do that. Please give them.
Duchenne muscular dystrophy is a progressive vital muscle wasting condition. Muscles deteriorate, leading to paralysis, heart and lung failure, and early death. Duchenne is 100% fatal. There is currently no cure. Very few people live beyond the age of 30. It's very important that we need to create awareness of DMD today. I was diagnosed when I was 3 years old. 24 years on, and there is still no cure for this very cruel disease. Let's all please help spread awareness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Mick, let's go with the first question then, Mick. Let's go to the beginning of your Aston Villa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did it? What year did you start working?
Yeah.
As a tour guide. And what are your memories from your first day?
Oh, I can remember it well, Chad. It was a boiling hot day, the 1st of July. And in those days, you had to take members of staff round on what they call a ghost or dummy tour. So you'd have to prove you could deliver a tour in front of them. So no pressure there, you can imagine it.
Yeah.
And it was boiling hot. I just remember, it was quite, because you got this script to follow, it was quite a difficult thing to do, especially with the nerves I got being, you know, you've never shown nerves. You deal with everything that's thrown you, but you know, I was like a bag of nerves. And somebody called Rob Bishop, I think you know Rob.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, Rob kind of like got me through it. He cajoled me, he supported me, and you know, at the end of it, they gave me a club tie, and that was the start of my tours at Villa. I became a tour guide. I started my training later that month. We got Martin O'Neill as manager then. We were a top 6 side, and it was exciting times.
So we did top 6 3 times on the trot.
Yeah, I know. That was, you know, something I still couldn't pinch myself. And listen, Matt Kendrick, who I know he wants to do a piece on you, he's been in touch about it. Matt Kendrick. And I said to Matt, I was terrible the first few months. People were paying for tours, and I was not very good at all. But you know, you get to steady yourself. The Villa fans helped me. I'll never forget that. They went, "You're doing fine," and I've always felt part of the fans. You know, as much as I was working for the club, my what would you call it, affinity with the fans, and I'm a fan, and I think that came across to you, that when I turned up at the school, it was a Villa fan bringing you programs and just having a chat about the Villa. It wasn't like I was anything from the club. That, you know, I felt part of the fans, and the support I've had from the fans since I left the club has been amazing. So,
and also, Matt Kendrick's a great guy.
Matt is a really good friend of mine. and he's someone you should speak to, because I'll mention a lot of people, as many as I can tonight, because you know something, they're totally behind the Villa, but they're great. It's going to sound a bit fancy, but I generally mean it. They're great people, you know, and we want the best for Villa, of course we do. But you know, the club needs to remain for the fans. I watch you, Chad, in that. It's quite exposed where you sit, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is Trinity Road, yeah.
That corner where you sit. And you're out in all weathers, and I'm walking past. I mean, I haven't been there for 6 months, but I've seen you sort of covered in, I don't know what you were wearing the last time,
Yeah.
but you know, you sat out in all weathers for that team, and you know,
Dedication.
yeah, amazing. And now you've got Europe. It's you know, like you were. What would you have been? 15 when the last time we were in Europe?
Yes. Oh yeah, it would have been about 13, maybe 14. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, you and your folks that you sit by and your fans. I mean, you've got a great view where you are, but
Oh,
I
it's
always
perfect.
think, yeah, I always think, oh my, how is he managing to? Because you're obviously sitting there and the wind's blowing, the rain's blowing in your face, and you just deal with it. And yeah, fair play to you.
Who was your
I'm
favourite Aston Villa footballer
say
you met
again,
with? Who was your
say again.
favourite? Who was your favourite Aston Villa footballer you met over the years?
So this is a very hard question, because do you know something? I've been so lucky. I've met all my heroes. Andy Lockheed. Andy Lockheed's family are listening to this tonight. So I'll say hello to Matt, his son-in-law, and Carol, his
Thank you.
wife. They invited us to Burnley the other week as their guest. And he was my first hero, Bruce Rioch. But do you know, Chad, if I said to you, Ian Taylor, Lee Hendry, Brian Small, Mark Burke, you know,
Yes.
Tony Morley, all these players have given me the time and been they're my heroes, but they're actually great people. And I've met Cyril, I've met Dion. Oh my, if I leave anybody out tonight, it would be just, I could not name you. I've been so lucky to meet so many lovely people, and not just great players. They were great players, but I actually think the fact that they're such good people makes it even better. You know what they say, you know, never meet your heroes if they let you down. Not one of those players. I mean, you know, and I include sort of the current players in this, the Conzers, the McGinns, the Grealish, the
Goodness
Jack
me.
Grealish. They're brilliant. You know, they've been so good to me, and you know, and that's what makes Villa. You know, you can be a top player, but it's great if they're a top person as well. And I've been lucky. I've met all my heroes. I was trying to think, actually. You know, I did the tribute wall for the 82 squad, and that was probably one of my best moments, to introduce those 11 players.
Oh, absolute legends.
They were great, and Gordon Cowans, people like that, Gary Shaw. We're lucky to have this, and they're still around the club, Chad, which makes it even better. You know, the Nigel Spinks, they still live round here. Spinky and Shawry did a Legends tour last week. We're lucky to still have them local. Alan Evans was in touch with him this week. He's coming up from Cornwall for every game. You know, that's the dedication we've got. And hopefully you've met a few of them over the years, and I'm sure you're the
Well,
same.
I met quite a lot.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Over
they're
the
lovely.
years, I met quite a few.
Yeah, Kenny Swain. You know,
Who my
I mean,
favourite one was?
Hannah Story runs the
Yeah.
former players club. She's doing a fantastic job of bringing all these players together, because, as you can imagine, you know, we've got a lot of players that, you know, that came from different times, that played before the Premier League, that need her support and the support of the fans. And, you know, it's a great thing, the former players club. So, you know, there's a little as much for you tonight. There's a little plug for Hannah, because they do a great job supporting the players. So, I've really sat on the fence, Chad. I can't give you a name.
Yeah.
I can't.
I think Gareth Barry.
Yeah, Gareth Barry I met at the cricket last year. He's a big cricketer, isn't he? I met him. I'd call Gareth Barry a Rolls-Royce player, and he got the best autograph I'd ever seen of any Villa player. It was so legible and classy, but he's a Rolls-Royce and most Premiership appearances, isn't he? So, yeah.
Well,
Ashley Young was incredible when he came back to the club last year. Yeah. I mean, we're going back. These players have looked after themselves, haven't they? The James Milners, still playing at 37, 38.
It's incredible dedication, experience.
Yeah. I think they've always, like with Ashley Young, Gareth, particularly James Milner, always wanted an ice bath after every training session. That was something I did pick up on in my first couple of years at Villa, what the players' routines were, and he was one that needed an ice bath, looked after himself. But the players do now. To compete in the Premier League, you really do have to look after yourself, don't you? So they all know. Say again, Chad. What was that, Chad?
I just want a drink.
Yeah, you go for it. I love the backdrop. It's so good. With Mr. McGinn's shirt as well.
So, Nick, if you could sum up in one word your time as a tour guide, what would it be?
Wow. One word's difficult. Surreal, really, because I lived my dream. I couldn't have put, because don't forget, I just didn't do the tours. I got involved. I was like a bit of an odd job person. I'd do the mascots at Wembley. I'd do the filming in London for the mascots, and I'd do the pitch stuff, which was lovely. Taking those kids on the pitch at half time like I did with you, and having a kick about with the subs. It was surreal times, and like you make the most of your life, and I made the most of my time at Villa. 14 years. I had some great memories. I've been in Birmingham tonight, just before this, with someone from Buenos Aires.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Romy, I know she's listening, and Vero as well. Romy's come over and she'll be at the game on Saturday. I'm still in touch with people from all over the world, and yeah, I've made the most of it, Chad. I had a great time. Lived my dream.
You're a true gentleman.
Nah, listen, I did it because I loved the reaction from the fans, and if you do something for them, the Villa fans just love you for being a fan. And all those kids that went on that pitch and had a kick about with Coutinho and Watkins and Mings, I'd like to think I'll never forget that. You'll never forget going on Villa Park.
Unforgettable.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about. The Villa fans, we are a family. And I found out the fans have been fantastic to me always, because they know I'm in their corner. And yeah, I've never forgotten. I'm a Villa fan who's just lucky to be working for Villa, and that was always my, I'd go in each day almost like, wow, should I be here? Am I worthy? I mean it. I never took it for granted, one bit.
What's the best part of the job?
I'd say just making people smile and have those memories. And it was always nice to read a TripAdvisor review and say, or a letter that would come in saying, it's the best day of my life. And you do get that from fans. You don't underestimate it, but it's a big deal for fans, whether they do a tour or
Yes, it
they
is.
have that experience that they're made to feel special. And they are, everyone that comes has, a special experience. And I hope that continues. I'm sure it will.
You'll bring their own unique thing as well.
Yeah. You said that.
Yeah.
I tried. I tried my best, and you know, I did my best.
What was your favourite bit on the tour? When taking
I've got to
people out?
say, it's probably the obvious. Would be the dressing rooms and going out to the fanfare as two teams was my favourite bit. So, and I think the fans would say that, to be honest. Sitting in the home dressing room and then walking out to the fanfare was special. I mean, don't get me wrong. There were little bits where I used to like the interview room, to be honest. When we went in
That's
there,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, because you started your tour there, and I let you do that tour. And listen, if people think that tour was set up, that was a paid tour that you delivered, right, with 20 people,
Yeah.
and that was fantastic. And that they were there to listen to you, and they enjoyed the tour. And of course, I didn't do it. It was you that got them on that pitch. So don't say it was me. It was you. And you delivered it. But it was always nice to get the rapport at the beginning. So we'd have that connection. And what worked for me, Chad, was I'd get their names. And people, if anyone's been on a tour with me and they're listening to this, they'd go, Mick would always remember their name. I think that's so important that you make that connection with people. Sometimes the kids wouldn't want it. It would be a bit, you're embarrassing me. But generally, you could have that rapport with people by making that connection. I was interested in why they were Villa fans, why they came from, I don't know, Prague and supported Villa, why they, where that came. And that built up rapport. And mate, I've gone through all my numbers to get people to watch this tonight, and it took me a while.
I really appreciate it.
You need to hook up with Matt as well, because
I've spoken to him before.
Yeah, hook up with Matt. And, he's he had to come back. He'll tell you this. He had to come back from his holiday the other week because his son wanted to watch the Hibs game. So their holiday was curtailed for their season ticket holders. He had to come back for the Hibs game. So fair play. I think they had 3 days instead of 7, but he's a good man. Matt's good as well.
Podcast with him?
Good. Yeah, because he's got a great podcast.
I did it with him a few months ago.
Right, I never saw that because
You have to watch it back.
I will, because Claret and Blue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dan Rollinson's a good lad as well, and he's got John as well doing the reporting now. John's a good lad, and he's picked a great first season because we're in Europe.
Do you know Dan Bardell?
I'm very good friends with Dan. Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually become real good friends with him now.
I know you did a podcast with him.
Oh, he's a great guy. Yeah, real nice guy.
Yeah, I keep seeing him. I'll meet him at breakfast in the morning. Well, I think it's finished now, but I kept seeing him on the transfer window on Sky. So Dan and I have probably go back when he first came to Villa. We did something with the old owner, and we met then. So we've kept in touch.
Well, I'll get you a nice memory now.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, I did work experience at Villa Park, working alongside Mick, as a tour guide assistant on 2 separate occasions in 2013 and 2014. I always remember that time when you go 20 people from Tamworth tour.
Yeah.
At the end of the tour, including me and everyone, you allowed us to go on the pitch.
Yeah.
Which was absolutely incredible. I'll never forget that. Thank you for
Well,
that memory, Nick.
Chad, the one thing you forgot to mention there to everyone is that you did that tour. You took that tour.
Yes. Yeah, oh yeah, I did, yeah.
You know, and there wouldn't have been many people. And we've gathered, we're training new tour guides, or Villa are training new tour guides now, that would have gone straight into that without any kind of, you know, they normally would shadow for a few weeks. You went straight into it. So be proud of yourself for that. You were like a young man at the time, and
Oh, thank you.
I don't think the people, if they are listening tonight, the people that were on that tour will ever forget it, because it was a special day, and especially the way it ended up, you know, to go on Villa
It was a
Park.
beautiful day.
Yeah, it was. It
I
was.
remember how sunny it was.
Was your dad there?
At the 18th, he was.
Yeah. Was he on the pitch that day? Was it just me and you?
I think it was just me and you, and with the
Yeah.
PA.
I just remember your dad sort of phoning or speaking to your dad that day about it.
You might have phoned afterwards, I think, or something.
Yeah. But you did well, and it was a great link up with Wilson Stewart, and I hope the school's still doing what they. It was the happiest school I've ever been in, because everything about it was just like the kids were so happy, weren't they? You know, you had the best gym as well. You had a great garden as well, where you grew stuff and tomatoes and everything. I just remember it being such a happy school.
That's a real good times there.
Yeah, I used to love coming there. And, you know, I'd just turn up sometimes, wouldn't I? Which, with my Villa badge, you know. And it was good. It was good to see the kids. It wasn't just you as well. It was.
Oh, yeah, they're all together. We come together.
Yeah. And then, obviously, you know, the foundation do a fantastic job. They're going to have to get you on the sleep out one of these years.
Yeah, you never know.
With Tails, and Tails says hello as well. So he's doing hello
as well.
Yeah, he's a great bloke. He invited me to. Mate, he invited me to the Hibs game the other week. I'll never forget that. Lovely gesture. He scored goals, didn't he, Chad? You know, that was the thing. You know, he wasn't just. And when Peter Crouch does his podcast, he always mentions Tails as one of the best players he played with. So
a really nice person as well.
That's what I'm saying. If I would have said to you my favourite Villa player, and I'd have come out with a name, it would have been a complete snub to all the other. They're just lovely people. I mean, Crouch and I, my last game at Villa, he's had a selfie with me, and it made my day. And it was good because he took this selfie, and it was such a great picture. So they're all good, you know, and the 82 squad, and you know, I go back a lot further than you, and the 70s boys like Frank Carradus, and you know, Andy Gray, of course, yeah, John Deere, Brian Little, you know, Brian's still around the club. We're very lucky to have them still, you know, in the Midlands area and still being a big part of it. And Hannah's got a great role in that. She involves everyone. We've just brought Tommy Johnson and Mark Draper in there doing a grand job.
You met Gary Thompson?
Tomo, I played against Tomo. Tom and I go back a long way. Tomo was incredible when he was a young player. I played for Birmingham Schoolboys. He played for South Birmingham, and no one wanted to mark him. He played with somebody called Paul Dyson, who went to Coventry. Tomo went to Coventry as well with him. And Tom and I have become, I'm very lucky, you know, we're friends. Brian Small, Mark Walters, they're friends. And who can say that, you know, that your heroes become your friends?
To Gary Thompson next week.
Tomo, say hello to him.
Yes, I will, definitely.
You know, I've worked with him at Cov as well. I had a little spell at Coventry a couple of years ago, just helping them out when the Villa were away. And Tomo's very highly thought of at Villa. But he's a Villa fan. He does his WM commentaries, doesn't he? And
I spoke to Daz Hale before.
say again, Chad.
Daz Hale.
Yeah, Daz Hale. I don't know him. Is he the WM?
Yeah, I went to the studio. I did.
Did you?
Yeah,
I've heard the name.
Experience. Oh, it was an amazing experience.
Yeah, WM are good, aren't they? And it's quite funny, Chad. When I used to sit down in Lower Trinity, the guy next to me used to listen to Gary on his headphones.
All right.
He used to listen to the game. He was watching the game, but listening to Gary on his headphones. I thought it was hilarious. So, you know, Gary's 50 metres behind him and he's listening to him watching the game. But Tomo, look, he's one of very many players that, you know, a credit to himself.
Get us promoted.
Oh, he'll tell you that. He got us promoted with Alan McOnally, but he said, it's a famous line, isn't it? He's got his picture in the press room, Tomo's picture, and he said, I've had a bad back for years because I carried Villa in the promotion season, and that 88 season was incredible. And him and Alan McOnally, David Platt, you forget.
Oh, great player.
Yeah, I met Platty with, it was quite a funny one now, with Mancini. They turned up for a Premier League managers meeting.
Oh, wow.
And I was more excited about meeting Platty than Mancini, to be honest, but that's another story. Yeah.
Do you remember my 18th birthday party?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
That cake, I don't know who made that cake, but it's the best cake, Villa cake I've ever seen.
It was on Jackie's Cake Kitchen, I think.
Well, it was amazing. It was massive as well.
And Ben Teke was on there.
Yeah, it was a good part. I remember it being like in the McGregors, just all the colours, the Villa balloons, and just with pictures of you, and your mum was lovely. We had a great night, and thanks for inviting me. You know, felt part of your family, because you know I've got a few years where we haven't really been in touch, but who forgets the early years, because those were my first years at the club, so they were defining years, which helped. You helped me, mate, because I wasn't, you know, someone that suffered with my nerves. How I do that when you're dealing with what you're doing, but I was you know, a bag of nerves, and you calmed me down by seeing what you were dealing with and seeing your face, giving you something to focus on. Villa's a big part of your life, and when we got you involved in the club, I'm sure.
It's escapism.
Yeah, he helped you, but you've never left that buzz for the club. You're still in that place.
I got a real passion for it.
But it's good that you've got that focus, my friend, and you know, everyone needs something to focus on, and look what you're dealing with. And if Villa can do that, it's a big part of a lot of people's lives. I'm not just saying you, but you know, great and long, mate.
It's the podcast to give me a new lease of life.
Well, let's get this podcast. Yeah, I don't know how many followers, because you know me, I'm not on. I do like YouTube. I love watching.
Subscribers, yeah.
Yeah, get these subscribers on board, and you know, and obviously about your condition as well, and raising awareness, because you know,
it's really important to me, that is, as well.
Well, mate, when you read the facts, it's you know. But listen, you're doing. How are your mum and dad anyway? I haven't really.
Oh, they're really well. Yeah, let's say hello to you as well.
Oh, Silas. So where's this set up then, mate? You're at home now, and
it's in like a sort of like a study.
Great, because you've always
had all the John McGinn shirt.
I love it. He's got to be one of. Do you know something? Guinea is such a character. I said to him the sleep out, you've got to come to sleep out. I said to him at the sleep out last year, I went, John, and he spoke to every person at the sleep out. There were 200 people there. And Josh Feeney, what a good lad he is as well. Josh came with him. He's one of our big stars of the future, centre half. We got him from Fleetwood, I think. So him and John turned up. And I went, Guinea, this was October last year. You have an amazing record for Scotland. Of course, it's got better in the last few weeks. And do you know what he said? Do you know what Guinea said?
Yeah.
Doesn't count for anything. We're not in the World Cup. And that's the professional in him. But I'll tell you what, he'll be at the Euros next year.
Well, what I like about him is he don't stop running.
He's just he's one of my favourite. You know, like the three players that I loved in the championship years were Connor, Jack, and Guinea. And it's no wonder they still are all good friends. What a combination of players, and they're good for the team. You know, we've got every team, I think, needs good characters, and John McGinn is such a good character. Yeah.
Well, John McGinn is my favourite player.
Good. Well,
he gives it his all.
Yeah. Honestly, he's a breath of fresh air to everyone, and no one will. You know, there might be a few things people say tonight, or I don't agree with that, but no one can. Now, Guinea, he's a really good character.
He's going to go down as a Villa legend.
Yeah, he will. Even though he got me into trouble at Bodymon once.
Did
he? He did. I was setting up a breakfast for all the clients, you know, when they have a sponsors day. And because this breakfast wasn't really for the players, of course, it's for the guests. And of course, they do like the sausage baps and the bacon baps. And Guinea stole. Codger saw it. He said, look, what's Guinea doing? And he got one of my bacon baps, put in tomato sauce, and he ate it before training. And I've got a picture of it to prove it, Chad. Yeah. So he's a character.
If you could give any advice.
Yeah.
The new tour guide starting.
Yeah.
Their job. What advice would you give to them?
To be themselves. To be themselves. And shall I put a light on? Because I seem to have gone in the dark.
It's got a bit dark.
A bit dark. Is that better?
That's better,
yeah, to be themselves, because I made that mistake, and I don't know, I was, like I say, a bag of nerves, and put your own angle on it, be yourself. And I probably shouldn't say this, but I dispense with the script of the tours, because I like to bring things to life for people.
Especially to go off script.
Yeah, definitely. And that works more, because I was lucky that I had stuff that was relevant from match days, and you know, I was around sort of the training grounds and doing stuff, and I would never make something up. That's what you shouldn't do. No one's going to do that. What I wanted to do was give people, you know, fly on the wall stuff within reason, you know, not something that wasn't, you know, sort of you know, ethical to tell them, but definitely make the experience that they felt they were hearing a bit about Villa that, you know, they wouldn't have found out, and, you know, the players, what they were like, and, you know, their routines, and bring it up to date for them. And yeah, that always worked with me, with a bit of humour as well. Everyone likes, you know, sort of
good banter.
Say again.
Good banter as well.
Banter, yeah, and you know, as long as it's done in the right way, and you know, you can judge people that would want that, but you know, the excitement they got from being on that tour, you know, you kind of fed on that, and it was like, let's just make this the best day, you know. And I, I think pretty much, you know, you've got to watch it as well, that you don't get blasé, because
Yeah.
we built that tour up. It's now #2. It was #1 of the events in Birmingham, and you don't get too cocky about it. And so, yeah, you might have done a good tour the one before, but you need to kind of just, you know, calm down and make sure that experience you gave the last group, you give the next group. And that's what I always fed on. I mean, I used to do the kids' birthday parties, and, you know,
That must be good.
yeah, and I'm seeing players now that I used to take round, like the Ramsey brothers, and they're doing great. And, you know, you can't, you see these kids like Jack at 14, and look how they've developed and become lovely, you know, people, adults as well as players. And that kind of, like, you know, it's very humbling to see them. And even players like Victor Johansson that was great with me. He's gone to Rotherham, he's their keeper now. And, you know, to see them doing well, Callum at Coventry, you know, they've all made good careers. And that's credit to Mark Harrison and Sean Kimberley that was at the academy before. You know, they brought these players and given them, you know, a foundation to go on and be good professionals, great professionals. So we've done a few with them. But yeah, to any new tour guide, don't expect it to, like, be perfect from the start. It's not gonna be. It took me probably, well, somebody said you're not going to make it, you know, and I thought, oh no, and it was the Villa fans that kept me going. So someone with you know, one of my colleagues said, look, you're not going to do it, and I thought, no, I can't not get this right, because I was a community coach at Villa before. I used to do some volunteer work, so I did have a placement as a coach in the community. But I lasted about 3 months. It's very much a young person's game. I enjoyed it, but I thought the tour guide's more up my street. And eventually,
that job suited you really well.
I loved it, and never say never. You know, I'd love one day to go back, but yeah, we'll see.
When did your love of Aston Villa start?
69. Yeah, no, my dad took me. Yeah, because I didn't. It's like the kids these days. You see them and they're going at 3 and 4, aren't they? But I was 10 when I first went to my first Villa game, and it was 1969. And do you know, for me, it was that walk down Aston Park from the hall, and I saw the ground, and it was fantastic to see the pitch. You could see it through the 2 stands, and the green and the colours. Everything was claret and blue. The tickets were claret and blue. The programme had a blue tinge to it. And my dad wrote, I've still got the programme, wrote all the changes in. And, you know, I've been able to meet some of the players like Charlie Aiken and Dave Rudge and get that programme signed. And different times, they were, the Villa fans of my age will tell you that they were so different those days, that, you know, people would all go on the bus, and the players, you know, we were in the 2nd division when I saw the team. And then pretty much 2 years later, they were in the 3rd division. But those were the days that my heroes, Andy Lockhead and Bruce Riott, came to the Thor, and Dave Rudge became a good friend. Unfortunately, passed away last summer.
That's a shame.
Yeah, you know, those were the days that I remembered. And it wasn't like the coverage these days. You know, you had to cut the pictures out of the Sport Argus, and you very, you know, sort of autograph books were the thing in the day. And you know, the scores at half time were on the scoreboard from your programme, and not watching the goals at half time like they do now on their phones. And different times, the pitches, that they'll all tell you that. But Oh, honestly, Andy Turnstile, you're listening, Steve Turnstile, we all look back on those days with massive, great memories. If you could fast forward a time machine or go back just for one weekend, we'd love to do it and see those players again.
Was it like
It's
to meet Sir Doug Ellis?
amazing. Doug was very good. So my dad invited him for his 75th birthday back in 91, and he didn't really know me. And when I joined the club, Doug was no longer the chairman.
Yeah.
He'd sold it to Randy. But hey, how fortunate was I? I got to look after him for his 90th and 91st birthdays. It was held in the old director's suite, and Doug had a fantastic 90th birthday with all his friends, and I got to look after him. So Heidi was there, his wife, and all his family, Gary Newbarn, Nick Owen, all his old friends. So Doug was a gentleman to me. I can't fault him. He was great with the staff. I never worked for him. I was fortunate to go to his funeral at the parish church, which was amazing.
What was the service like?
Incredible. You've got people like the head of the FA was there. People like Mike Summerby, obviously all the Villa staff. David Dean, do you remember David Dean from Arsenal?
I don't think I'm sure I remember him.
Yeah, he did a reading. But the one thing I remember about it is Doug's granddaughter doing a solo song, just incredible, with a guitar, just singing. Yeah, just incredible service. And yeah, really, really privileged to be at that. Because look at
his Rolls Royce.
Yeah, Rolls Royce. Yeah, you need to get the mishmash. You need to get that picture for your room. Have you seen it? The one of Villa.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex Bennett. Alex
really
Bennett's
good. Really good.
Yeah, and there's a picture of Doug's Rolls, isn't there, on that? There's a picture of me, Chad, if I'm really going to big myself up as well. Doug's in the left-hand corner, I'm in the right-hand corner.
They used to call it Deadly Doug.
That was Jimmy Greaves.
That was it, yeah. It was a sign.
So when Doug caught a salmon, because you'd got a stretch of water, hadn't you, in Scotland he bought, and he used to be very ruthless when he caught the salmon with, shall we say, putting it to sleep. So that's why he called him Deadly Doug. But,
was it a dream come true? Working as a tour guide?
Of course it was.
At Aston Villa, yeah, was it? Yeah.
I would never have imagined. It was my dream, like all of us, to play for Villa. And because I played at Birmingham Schoolboys, one of those lads did go to play to Villa, and I followed him everywhere, because he was playing for the youth team with Gary Shaw, and I went to the Youth Cup final. And that was, that was a dream of mine, to play for Villa. It was never going to happen. The minute I saw Gordon Cohen's play, I thought, yeah, these players are out.
Now, Gordon Cohen.
Yeah, it's my favourite player. But
him.
He's such a lovely guy. But the quality of these players. Gary Shaw would be another. Brendan, I played in the same schoolboy team as Brendan Ormsby. They were so much, like that star quality. And obviously, I hadn't got that. But years on, yeah, it's the second best thing, isn't it? And some of the players. Yeah, I lived my dream, and I'll tell you what, I would not have changed a minute of what I did at Villa. I wouldn't. I got to go to Wembley and represent them, to do things that a lot of people would never do, and even be the main man, the main lion. That was a role I had. So even being Hercules, and just doing everything. I was up for anything because I thought this might not last forever, and 14 years was a good time to have.
What was your job before working at Aston Villa?
So I was a community coach, but before that, I just had a desk job in a call centre working for the government, and we used to get told off for talking about Villa, Chad. You know, if we were talking about football, why aren't you working?
Yeah.
And then after 30 years, I got paid for talking about Villa. So it was quite a nice twist, to be honest. But
Nick,
I'm loving my...
spread the word.
Say again.
Can you spread the word about my podcast?
Well, I will do now, because I have to say, it was only when Dan went on it that I realised you were doing a podcast. Because you and I have lost touch the last couple of years, which isn't your fault. It's probably mine, but there's been a lot happening. Of course, I'll spread the word. You're probably asking the worst person, because people will tell you to get hold of me. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on social media, but I have got a lot of contacts. If I was to tell you, Jack's mum and dad have been told about it tonight. All the 82 boys. Yeah, there's a lot of people. Can we watch this? You know, after tonight, do you do it? Is it still in there? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's saved to YouTube. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll spread the word. I must have sent about 50 or 60 messages tonight.
Well, it's got 400 subscribers.
Well, hopefully we can get it to 1,000.
Oh yeah, that's a good target. That is definitely.
And then keep moving. Mr. Kendrick's your man, and Mr. Bishop, and people like that. Because, mate, you need to get people on it, more guests. I mean, the fact you've asked me, you know, you're scraping the barrel there, mate. You need to up the ante here. You need to get.
I mean, you know, a few contacts.
I've got a few over the years. Yeah. I mean, look at Tails the other week invited me to Villa. I mean, incredible. You know, I'll never forget the friendliness. And if I'm going to kick myself that I've not mentioned enough people tonight, because, you know, the people that have given me the time of day there.
Just go and drink, Mick.
Hey?
Just go and drink a water.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Mick, to finish off the podcast,
Yeah.
can you tell me a funny moment or an interesting fact?
Mate, I think there's been a lot of funny moments at Villa, and funny moments normally are when things go wrong, aren't they? But I'll give you one, because you wanted it around a tour, didn't you?
Yeah.
So the one I thought up with the tour a few years ago, the Portsmouth owner, they were doing Fratton Park up, and they wanted to come to Villa and have a look, because we're one of the iconic stadiums, aren't we? And we have like a very good sort of look to the stadium, and the Trinity is fantastic. How it's very Victorian, and you know, goes back to those days with the tiles and the stained glass. So yeah, the Villa asked me if I'd give a tour to the Portsmouth owner and the chief executive. But there was a presentation first, and this presentation went on quite a while. Now, the Portsmouth owner happens to be a guy called Michael Eisner.
Oh, yeah.
He ran Disney for 20 years. He was chairman of the Disney group, right? So probably one of the biggest multicultural corporate organisations in the world. And he ran it for 20 years. So I turns up, and I was in the meeting. I was part of the delegation, the Villa delegation. And they went, because these people are very busy, aren't they? Time is money. So he got a very tight schedule. So they said, Mick, you've literally got 10 minutes to do a tour.
Yeah.
And we were in Doug Ellis at the time. We were in the big box, you know, that big box 9 in Doug Ellis.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I thought, do you know what I'm going to do? And this is, as I say, one of the most famous CEOs in the world. I'm going to take him to the top of the hole with this delegation.
That's amazing, huh?
And I did. And he got his baseball cap on. And I took him, the chief exec, and the rest of the Portsmouth party to the top of the hole. And there he was, cheering away at the top of the hole. You know what the view's like from there. Fantastic. So that was quite a funny story. And then I was privileged to take our owners round on my own for an hour.
Oh, wow.
Wes and SF, yeah, which was something that I wasn't in a good place at the time with my mental health, and that if Luke Horgan, actually, he was the guy who was in charge of the club at the time, because we were dealing with the sale of the club, weren't we? It was crucial, you know. The Villa nearly went under, very, very close to going under, and Luke trusted me to take them round on their own.
Those were tough times for the club.
Yeah, and when they came in, fantastic. But you know, I was obviously the negotiations in London with our owners and all of that, which was done at a high level. But I was the first member of staff to meet the owners, and when Luke said, "Can you take them round?" I didn't think he was going to say on my own, but I spent an hour on my own with them, and that is probably one of the things that was, wow, you know, the club do trust me. And
Mick, I'd just like to mention something on this podcast.
yeah.
Thursday morning, I had some very sad news. My friend from secondary school
Yeah.
and sixth form, Jordan Hopewell, very sadly passed away. I'm absolutely heartbroken about it.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. It was a massive shock. He had the
Jordan,
same condition as me. This is the harsh reality
well,
of Duchenne. It really
Chad,
puts things into perspective.
Chad, this needs to, yeah. You hadn't mentioned it, you left it right to the end, and I think people need to be aware, and obviously there's research going into it, but it's not that well known, is it? The condition.
We need more awareness.
Because it's very rare, isn't it? But having said that,
Yeah.
you know, the condition, you think how old was Jordan?
Same age as me, only 27.
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard for me to comment on that because I know what you must be thinking, but, you know, listen, you've got all these people behind you and more, hopefully. I will make sure that as many people as I can, and Dan, I'm sure, Matt, people like that, spread the word and get your followers. And you know,
life is not fair.
Not to you, it has not been fair at all.
Jordan was so young as well.
Chad, how can anyone, with what you're dealing with, you know, complain? You're a credit to your family as well, and I don't know. It's difficult on a podcast. If we were talking together, you know, it would come over better. But you hang in there, you know, and obviously that's gonna really upset you what happened to Jordan. But listen, we'll support you, and it's your family. Look at what a lovely family you've got.
I'm really lucky. I got a lovely family, yeah, definitely.
You know, and you've got a lovely house with lots of, you know, what they've provided for you. You've got a lot, you know, support there, mate, and hopefully the Villa fans will take you, you know, under their arm and spread that word, because look at our fan base. It's global now. We've got,
it takes my mind off it as well.
yeah, but these are times where the internet can, it's amazing what effect it can have, like, on people's lives, and spread the word about you. Some of these people that have set up the YouTubes, the fans, without any kind of background like you've got, are getting thousands of followers. So why wouldn't you?
Good. I keep being positive.
You should be. You've got to be, and I'm sure your mum and dad have said that, because that's horrible news. But
I think Jordan wants us to carry on.
100% he would. Yeah, and look at you. You're doing really well. And I'll make sure the next time I'm at Villa Park, I'll tap you on the shoulder. You're always watching the game when I go past you.
Oh yeah, I'll see a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a few months. Like as I say, I was at the Hibs game, but I won't be there Saturday because it's my daughter's 30th birthday. But
I hope you
I
have a
will.
great time.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. But make sure, that we keep in touch. And if you ever want to come on again, and I'll bring
You're definitely welcome.
I'll bring Hannah on with me next time, and
That's
she
a good
can bring
idea.
Hannah, and she'll bring some former players with us, because I'd love to speak to you.
Well, Nick, what's your score prediction on Saturday?
Oh, that's a hard one, because we're playing Palace, aren't we? I think it's probably the one the fans are looking forward to, because we're going to be matched up against a team that's had a good start like us. I know Liverpool was a bit of a... I went to Burnley, and Diaby, what a player he is. And we
He's
look
an
great.
incredible player.
He's another level, that guy. And Konsa's playing brilliant. And do you know something? Might be a bit controversial. I'm going to go 2-2. I think there'll be goals in it, but Palace are doing... I'll go 2-0 then for you. 2-0. I mean, we're playing them 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, which is rare, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not on telly. Is that your prediction, 2-0?
Yeah, I'm going to go clean sheet, 2-0.
Okay. Yeah, Emmy won't like me for saying he's going to drop 2 in, but Palace, they've got Eze, haven't they? They've got some good players.
They've had a good start to the season, Crystal Palace.
They're a good team, mate. I love Roy Hodgson, I do. He's another one I've met. Love Roy. Let's see. I mean, Villa are playing they've got some great attacking players now. And, it's a shame what happened to Tyrone. And, obviously, hopefully we're getting JJ back soon. And of course, Buendia, we've been unlucky. But
Tyrone Mings is injured.
I know we've got a strong squad though.
We've got a good team.
Emery's really buying quality players, isn't he? We're, sort of bringing in, people from Barcelona now. You know these players better than I do, Chad, because I don't know many of them, but they're quality. So I'll go 2-1 then. I'll go 2-1.
Yeah, that's a good bet. Yeah.
I think there'll be goals in it.
Definitely. I managed to read some comments tonight. We're going to read just a few out.
I'm already getting comments I can see on my WhatsApp, so
I'll go to top one. I'll go to that one first. Yeah.
I'll tell you what though, you're a very good. You put me at ease because you're a good interviewer. I was quite nervous, but you put me at ease.
We got a comment by Romina Delucci.
Romina's yeah.
You made my love for Villa become a passion, and for that and your friendship, I'll always be grateful. Thank you, Chad, for this podcast. Thank you for sharing your memories together up the Villa. So look at some more comments.
Well, Romina, they come from Buenos Aires, Argentina,
Well,
and I
long way
met
on
up with
the other side of the globe.
yeah, and this is another great story. I managed to get Emmy to FaceTime them. He'd just won the Copper, and he had a young daughter, and he came into Villa, and he FaceTimed them on my phone. And what an incredible! Her and a friend managed to speak to him for a few minutes in Spanish.
And also, my
So
good friend Stephen Mason commented, "Great guest, Chad. You shared some special times."
yeah, we have. We go back, mate, and that's a connection. Now, you know, that's genuine. We've known each other a good 12 years now. So long may it continue, mate.
As a comment on Steve Dale, fantastic.
That's my brother.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So, my brother makes me so proud. Wish all the best, Chad.
There you go. It's my twin, that is. There you go, mate. Let them keep coming, mate. I don't know. Very good interview. You must know Alex Batchelor.
Oh, yeah, Alex Batchelor. A very good
Yeah.
interview, Chad.
There you go.
And we got this one, JR55 TEX. Best times working with Mick at Villa just before COVID times. Loved every minute. Thank you, Mick.
Yeah, I know Jake. Jake was my oppo with the lounge. Yeah, he used to like do all the front, you know, check people in. Lovely guy. Yeah, no longer at the club, but really decent.
So a little look at the other. So a little look through, see what other comments there are.
Well, mate, keep in touch. Yeah, there's another one.
Definitely. John, my Uncle John. Good evening, everyone. He put.
Yeah, is that your uncle?
Yeah, Uncle John Blevins, yeah. And we got one off Owen Tyler. Mick is an
Right.
absolute legend. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Oh.
Top guys on the podcast.
Mate,
Up the Villa.
mate, it's just perfect tonight. It's gone really, for me anyway, really well. And, you know, you've got a nice setup here. It's, you know me, I'm not very technical, but it's just been really informal. And yeah, I hope you're pleased with it, and make sure you keep in touch and let me know.
We definitely will meet up sometime.
And when does it go on YouTube? Because I will watch it on YouTube.
Well, because it's live, it'll be up there straight away.
Will it? Oh dear. Okay. That's so good.
Well, Mick, I'm going to bring this podcast to a close.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thanks, Chad.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, like it, share, and please subscribe to my channel. And make sure to get your post notifications turned on. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, thank you so much, Mick, for your time.
Okay. Can I just say thank you as well?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And love to Larry, my mate from Cornwall, and Betty Lancaster as well, because they're listening as well. So they're good friends. So
well, Mick, the last thing that is left to say,
yeah,
is up the Villa.
Up the Villa, absolutely. And I hope it's 2-0. And we look forward to seeing you. Hopefully the Brighton game.
Yeah, up the Villa.
Up the Villa, Chad. Loved you.
Okay, let me just click the outro.